This is just me introducing the video. Welcome to Nano Prep vlog number 5. This is the Q&A vlog. That's pretty much all this one is. So if you ask questions, they will be in this video. And I didn't really do an intro, so I just decided I would do it now. So now I will give it over to past Kayla, who already answered the questions. So enjoy. So I asked for questions about either this project that I'm currently working on or projects that I've mentioned working on in the past. Yeah, so I got a couple questions on Instagram and then a couple questions on the YouTube post that I posted. So I'm just going to answer those as like a fun little Q&A segment. So we'll go to YouTube first, and I asked in my community section. I just made a post about it. So first, a nerd named Becky, thank you so much for asking a question, asked, how do you create complex characters and how do you find plot holes and fix them? Okay, well, we've already heard a little bit about how much difficulty I have creating complex characters. Genuinely, I think the thing that helps me the most is writing all of those little backstories, even the ones, well, most of them actually aren't going to be in the novel, but I find that writing those backstories helps me get an idea of who the character is and like what they've went through and kind of what built them into the person that they are. Because some of those stories, like I remember for Emrys in Blood of Amberum, one of those stories is about her first like interaction or her first intimate moment with a guy, like with a guy that she was dating basically. And that's a super intimate moment. It has nothing to do with the actual story. That character that she had it with isn't even in the first draft. And we literally hear nothing about it, but what happened during that time of her life it plays a role in how she is now. And I think just giving your characters a life, you know, because these characters kind of walk into my brain. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, I don't build them from the ground up. They walk into my brain, either I hear a song or I see something or I'm watching a movie and I'm like, oh, this is like a living, breathing being that now exists in my head and that has to exist in my world. I think that the way that I make them more complex is figuring out what their backstories are, because they've got an entire life. As far as I'm concerned, they have as many pivotal moments in their life, as many memories, as many old friends and family members that aren't around anymore as I do, you know? So I think thinking of them that way and also putting the effort into writing those backstories is a really great way to help make more complex characters. And then also I love doing personality tests for my characters. I see what their like zodiac is. I read into that. Figure out what their Enneagram type is. I go and do like personality tests for my characters. I'm so sorry, Becky. I'm gonna switch the how do you find plot holes and fix them for now, because I think I'm still learning that about myself, especially as I edit my first draft. So I'm actually gonna save the question and maybe talk about it later on down the road when I'm editing both these drafts, which will be in December. And then Kaylee Books, thank you so much for asking a question, said, what outline process do you use if you do outline, and ways to come up with story ideas that are unique? Coming up with story ideas that are unique is also a really difficult thing for me to answer because they kind of just pop into my head. Like I've mentioned it before, I'm very musically motivated or musically inspired, I guess. I can like hear a song and an entire story will play in my head, or I'll hear a song and the story in that song then becomes like a pivotal moment in a novel that I now want to write. So I guess a unique way that I come up with story ideas is through music. I don't know if that's unique. I don't know if a lot of authors do that, but that is something that does come up with really interesting story ideas for me, because that's kind of just, I've always been like musically inclined, I guess. I've always been involved in music, like creating music, consuming music. So maybe that has something to do with it. So I'd say that's definitely an interesting way that I come up with story ideas. And as far as outline processes go, we've learned already that I fall somewhere in the middle between a plotter and a pantser. So this 9-step outline that just kind of mentions some key plot points, so far works pretty well, and this is kind of what I did for my first draft as well. So I'll put like a picture of it here so that you have an idea of what exactly that outline process is. That is pretty much the only outline I'll do, I think. And then from here on out, it's pretty much world building, little stories to develop characters, and then just like scenes that come into my head. So yeah, that's what I do for outlining. Now we will hop over to Instagram. My wonderful friend Henley asked, would the worlds of your first and new pirate book ever collide in a third book? I'm gonna say probably not. I think that this is the kind of situation that's possible if there are multiple realms. If one book exists in one realm, if another book exists in the other, but there's like an acknowledgement that there are other realms or other dimensions out there, then I think maybe a crossover could happen. I don't think that it would work with the new one, Between the Waves, because this world already has 9 realms, as you guys know. It's literally already like stacked, just a big stack of realms, and the magic system is the same throughout them. So I feel like the magic system wouldn't, because it's not the same kind of like laws of magic, laws of physics. I don't know if they could cross over, but you never know. I mean, we've got realms in Demera that no one has been to in a long time, so who knows? Anything is possible. The username mangrove_enchanty said, pirate world building question, is it steampunk-ish or futuristic ship? I'm definitely gonna say steampunk-ish. I, in the future, will probably write more futuristic or modern worlds. I have done that in the past, writing dystopian, because I adore dystopian. None of those books, I was just trying to remember if any of that's on my Wattpad. It is not right now. I've written dystopian before, so I might do something that's a little more sci-fi based, with a little more tech, a little more futuristic maybe. But right now, this pirate one is more steampunkish. And then my lovely friend Nikita, who is part of my, I'm basically besties with her now. She's on my Patreon, she's all over the place, and we chat all the time now. So she asked me multiple questions. The first one kind of goes together. So she asked, how far along are you with Blood of Amberum, and do you know around when you'll be able to publish it? So Blood of Amberum is my first novel. Only draft 1 is done. I finished it at the beginning of September. It is a high fantasy with, I say with fairies and witches. Those are the main immortal beings, I guess, but they're not called fairies and witches. They're called Fada and Striga, and there's this, it's its whole own story. So I just finished draft 1. I started editing draft 1. I only got into like the first chapter. So that's how far along I am, but the plan is to actually, over the next couple weeks, before November, get a bunch more editing done on that. I kind of want to do a full read through before November as well. And I think it's only about 400 pages, so I should be able to do that fairly easily. And then when I'll be able to publish it is really difficult, because I want to try and traditionally publish. And if you know anything about traditionally publishing process, I don't know that much, but I know enough to know that it takes a long time for a lot of books to get traditionally published. So like I could, if by some miracle I managed to like find a literary agent at the beginning of next year and managed to actually get a deal for it, it could still be another year of like edits and preparation before that actually got published, or longer than that. Because I'm gonna try and go the traditionally published route, if miracles happen, end of 2022, beginning of 2023, that's if literal miracles happen. So let's say end of 2023. But also, if you're interested on getting your hands on it early, please let me know in the comments, because at the end of this year, I will probably need beta readers. The goal is to need beta readers by the end of this year. So please let me know if you're interested in being a beta reader, because I will need to start collecting those. So Nikita, if you want early access to it and you want to read it, please let me know, because I'm gonna need people to read it in order to improve it and get it ready for querying. So that's where we're at with Blood of Amberum. And then Nikita also asked, how far, I think, have you prepped for NaNoWriMo, and at what point of the book do you start on the 1st of November? I'm trying to do NaNoWriMo in the most traditional sense possible this year, just to like, I don't know, kind of follow the OG rules for my first ever official NaNoWriMo, which means that I'm going to be starting the book fresh on November 1st. Preptober is just prep. I'm not going to start writing. I kind of got a little bit of the first chapter, but I actually don't know if that's going to stay the first chapter. It probably won't. It wasn't really a chapter. It was more just like writing to get a scene out, I guess, to get to know one of the characters. So I am going to start fresh. I am going to start at the beginning of the book on November 1st, which is why I'm trying to do as much prep as possible now. And I'm gonna hit 50K. I promised myself I will, so I will. I'm actually gonna try and go over 50K. But we'll talk about that in another video, I think, because that's a whole nother crazy idea that I've gotten into my head, so it's fine. But yeah, I will be starting completely fresh. This is a brand new story, and I will be starting it from chapter 1 on November 1st. And then this question came in a little bit later, after I filmed that first segment, but this one is from James, so thank you so much for asking a question, James. And they said, do you find that you have to set aside really cool ideas to stay focused on your current project? What would motivate you to change projects because you felt inspired to pursue something different? I definitely do have to set aside really cool ideas to stay focused on the current project. In fact, the project that I'm working on now for NaNoWriMo, the pirate one, was one of those cool ideas that it just kept popping into my head while I was working on Blood of Amberum. So I definitely set that idea aside, and now I get to work on it. I'm pretty stubborn, and I think that it would take a lot to get me to change projects. Like, if I felt more inspired to pursue something different, maybe I would, but so far, the projects that I've been working on, I've stuck to at least long enough, and this is like only one project, obviously, Blood of Amberum. Even when I started to get inspired by other things a little bit more, I made sure to at least finish the first draft of Blood of Amberum. So far, maybe it could be because I'm very new, and I'm very new to actually finishing novels, but so far I haven't really not been inspired by my current project. Like, I will be inspired by a bunch of other things as well, but I kind of just have like a running idea note on my computer where I can like look at those ideas and set them aside so that I have them for later. But so far I haven't really lost inspiration in like any of my current projects. So I just feel like, I don't know, so far I just feel like I really want to make sure that things get finished, so I have been doing that. But maybe that'll change, who knows? So I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. I know that it was mostly just sitting and chatting again, but there are more prep vlogs coming because I have a habit of just doing that while also vlogging, so it just means that I have a lot of footage, but that's okay because that means more vlogs for you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that my answers were helpful. If you have more questions, leave them down below and I can always answer them in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.